Just
okay. Hi, I'm Ali McIntosh. I am the founder, the visionary, and the servant leader emeritus of the Bahamas Constitution Party. The party was founded in 1998 with a divine revelation, and for the past 19 years we've continued to move forward in carrying forward the agenda and the mandate of the Bahamas Constitution Party.
All right, we're probably weeks or months away from general election. Why are you just coming on the scene now?
Oh, we've been talking for the past 19 years, and we launched a campaign for the 2017 general election in March of 2015. So we have been talking, not having a level of funding to really push the program in the media, but we have been talking. We've been on many radio shows, almost 120 hours per year over the last 2 years. It's just for the last couple of months we've had transitional things going on in regards to leadership, but we have been out there doing all that we can to contest this general election.
And how are you qualified to lead? Or any member of your party, how are you qualified to lead?
Well, first, the reason I believe that I've come forward is because I've been given a vision to bring forward this party for righteous agenda. And so with a vision and with the founding, it obviously gives me the authenticity and the character and just the authenticity to do it. Relating to the candidates have a level of vetting that we take them through that brings forward their integrity, brings out their character, see if they are qualified to lead based on some standards. Of course, all the candidates are not perfect people, but they come forward to serve, and that's the primary basis of why we call our candidates to serve.
All right, we're in a situation where the country have real issues, serious problems that have been getting worse. Now, what level of leadership do your candidates have to address these problems?
The mandate of the Bahamas Constitution Party is based on the preamble of the Constitution. That is a clear mandate for criteria for national leadership and for governance. When we look at the preamble values, which is self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity and abiding respect for Christian values and the rule of law, we look at values that establishes a new kind of thinking. And when a person can establish a kind of thinking where they make a quality decision, that is the basis of which we bring our candidates forward. Not that they have PhDs, all of them are doctors or lawyers, but that when they sit down, because they have character, they will make a quality decision when presented with an issue.
But as a leader, though, I mean, we're looking for a nation where we need leadership. What leadership qualities do these candidates have?
No, I say as a character, we do our best with the vetting to identify and for these candidates to articulate the core values that are in the preamble of the Constitution. The founding fathers determined that these values would be good substantive criteria for national leadership. And so once these candidates can articulate that, once they have lived by that, once they have responded to the call to serve, that is what brings leadership, new kind of leadership. When we look into society, we look at leaders who have failed. And when we say failed, we do not see the level of inspiration, the level of prosperity, the level of engineered growth of the economy in the community. So if we're looking at failed leadership now, I mean, we're bringing forth people who are prepared to make a quality decision. But that's what qualifies them.
What political experience do they have?
Well, most people that come to political leadership don't have prior experience. There is no way you can have political experience except having had it, having been elected. And so most times persons who come to office, people who become the prime minister, usually is the prime minister for the first time. And so we are giving persons the opportunity first to serve the people. I think that's the primary thing about leadership, the primary qualification, that you want to serve the people. When you want to serve the people, when you want to give your best, that is what qualifies you for leadership. And so I am confident that once people are prepared to serve, submit themselves to the process of service to the Bahamian people, that they will do the right thing.
All of our leaders have said they serve the people.
It's a cliche for many people.
All right, you mentioned you're a Christian party. Name me one person in the Bible who didn't have political experience but led a nation.
Well, we look at Daniel, was called forward to be a prime minister. I mean, he was just doing his due serving in the community, and they realized that his wisdom brought him forward. And so he served. We look at Joseph. I mean, Joseph came straight out of prison to become the prime minister of Egypt. So we're talking about no experience whatsoever. We talk about Deborah, and that's part of my process, our biblical reference. Deborah say village life ceased in her town until she rose a mother in Israel. And her coming forward, she was a judge. She brought good wisdom to persons having problems. She judged under a tree. So not to tell you, she didn't have much money. She didn't have much clout. She judged from under a tree. And so we are looking at a lot of biblical references in which people come forward with no experience, but they manage to be very successful in the work that they do.
All right, let's look at the real issues in the Bahamas. Right now, the government is broke. Both former governments have said that they're broke. There's no money in the treasury. How can you, even if you became the government, how can you accomplish anything if the government is broke?
The Bahamas is worth trillions of dollars. We're talking about the natural resources. The natural resources in this country, if it was taken into the equation of the economy, of the gross domestic product, we would be rich beyond measure. But successive governments have failed to look at the value of the natural resources and equate it towards bringing prosperity to the country. The Bahamas Constitution Party is expected within the first few days of its administration to legislate and bring full regulation to the natural resources in the country. Once we do that, those resources become taxable. At this present, the resources are being exported out of the country without tax. That includes salt, aragonite, silica. Many of those things are being sent out of the country without taxes because they offer a few jobs. We have to do more than just offer a few jobs. We have to drive the economy with the natural resources. In a new Bahamas going forward will be an industrialized nation where we use the aragonite, where we use the salt, where we use the sand in the country to create industries. Solar sand, solar salt in Agua is going to be one of the major developed products to develop a lot of industries. We saw last year that even the U.S. firms are now chomping at the bit to become involved in the solar industry. And so we are going to allow these industries and these products to really drive the economy. We're going to provide incentives for Bahamian businesses to get involved. They can partner with other businesses who are actually creating products outside of the country, and they can now create the employment on the ground in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Because based on all of these industries, we can actually produce full employment in the country, where we have to invite people to come to the country to work for us. Because if we have only 50,000 persons who might be unemployed, with an industrialized nation, 50,000 people will be nothing for us to employ. And that is where we will go. We will drive this economy with the natural resources. We will tax it for those persons who are exporting the products. And we'll provide a greater gross domestic product in the nation. We'll be able to take care of the poor. We'll be able to provide opportunities for businesses. We think there's a lot that can be done.
Are you saying that the Bahamas Constitution Party has a plan that can wipe out unemployment?
Yes, we do. We do. And that's why even we have the trillions of dollars of resources that are here. What we can do, once we industrialize, as I said before, once we industrialize the nation with our own natural resources, we will create employment on the ground. We don't want to just get the taxes from the exportation of aragonite and salt and sand. We want to actually produce industries. Let me tell you of one of them. Olithic aragonite is responsible, that's found on the Grand Bahama Bank. When it is used to engineer renewable plastic. Now we know beforehand plastic was always very difficult to destroy. It becomes a problem for waste management. But with olithic aragonite, it creates the engineering for renewable plastic. That is something that we will do. Even in one of the policies of waste management and recycling, we want to put, one of the first industries is to create the containers to do recycling. Because if we're going to solve the problem at the city dump in Nassau, we're going to have to do that by separating and diversifying the waste, the trash. So with that idea of recycling and the national plan for recycling, we are using one of the natural resources, which is olithic aragonite, to create a factory, to create the containers so we can do recycling. So you see, when you have ideas, you find a way to make it work. And the fact that we do not have to buy raw material is really going to take the country to the next level. I think when there is no vision, I don't have to think about that. When there is no vision, the people perish. And I think that the people who lead the country now is fresh out of ideas. And because for successive generations, successive governments, both the PLP and the FNM, have walked away from this. They have walked away from utilizing the natural resources. We have perished as a people. We now have 87.4% of debt to GDP ratio. And the reason that is because we will not count and we will not evaluate the natural resources as being credible and being part of our development. We have to see it into the future. The new and the next Bahamas has to see into the future that an industrialized nation is where we must go. And we can do that with very little impact on the environment.
All right, aragonite is only one product. What else does the Bahamas have in terms of natural resources that you feel that can be utilized?
Well, of course, you know there's several grades of aragonite. Aragonite, as I said, olithic aragonite. We have aragonite, we have sand, we have silica. All of these things are able to create different kind of products. We hear about precious stones that are created from silica. We talk about jewelry that can be made from sand. All kinds of optical products are made from aragonite. And we have the salt. The salt is also a very precious commodity. When we talk about solar, when we talk about solar products, when we talk about ammunition, things as relates to out of the NASA products. What do we call it? Outer space activity. What we think we can do in addition to those products, we have all kinds of marine products, a lot of marine products. Too many to mention. We have expertise in this area who can provide us with lists of marine products, like the sea cucumber that is sold for very high prices. What we are doing is we will identify all of these. When we create, and this is what we intend to do, create a ministry of natural resources. All of those products will be identified, and when they are identified, we put a value to each of them and how we should develop them. So in addition to selling them outside of the country, we develop industries that will create them right here.
What would the Bahamas look like with full employment?
Wow, I think the people will be so happy. Because, you know, sometimes when a person is unemployed, it drains on them. It causes great degree of stress. With full employment in this country, you will have a more happy country. I think crime will go down. People don't put guns to your head and shoot you when they can buy their own stuff. They only do it when they can't afford it. And so we believe with full employment, crime will be minimized to a great degree. We will also remove corruption. And corruption is when persons in high power also involved in criminal activity and is driving criminal activity from beneath. And so that will be gone. So just think of a Bahamas that has full employment and no corruption. We're talking about a happy country.
You're saying that within our government you believe there's corruption.
Well, the country is reflective of the leadership. And when I say that is, people elect people who are quite similar to who they are. And then the country is reflective of the leadership because young people mimic the behavior they see in the country. And if they see they can't get no justice, that is how they operate. They see I can't get no justice, so they have vigilante justice. We must bring better leaders to the country. People who can say, don't do as I say, but do as I do. You provide a better motivation for the people to be joyful obeyers of the law. And so the Bahamas Constitution Party, as we focus on the preamble of the Constitution, the desire to be have an abiding respect for the rule of law, we will bring that to the governance. We will bring that to how we live, how we operate with the people, that the people can know that both the leaders and the people are subject to the same set of rules, that if you commit a crime, that you will pay the time. And when people can see that everyone is subject to these same rules, I think they will do better. And I think the country will be better when we can enact better leaders. Not just lawyers, not just accountants, but people who are regular people who work, who have families, who knows how to manage the budget. Because when you can manage a budget on a minimum wage, you can do miracles. And I think thousands of Bahamian women and men are managing budgets that most politicians wouldn't even think about using. And that's why when we bring out candidates forward, these are regular people. They will be able to run the country because they've been doing it in their own little spaces. And I think that is important.
What do you see as the three major problems in the nation, and how would you solve them?
I think the first problem is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. That's John Maxwell. Because based on how leadership handled the situation in the country, handled the budget, it determines how the people respond. And so that's the first problem. The second problem would be crime and the fear of crime. A lot of people, not only are they fearful that they may be affected by crime, but they are fearful that something would happen or that a criminal might do something to them. I guess that's the fear of crime, even though it might not happen. If you go to the store and you are able to get your goods and go back home, some people feel, oh my God, I made it out of that. But it might not be that anything would happen to you. But the fear that something will happen to you is what's driving a lot of people into their homes and deciding, I'm not going to do certain things. We must remove that fear of crime, that people can find their voices and not be afraid that something will happen. And I think not only the fear of criminal activity, but just being a fear of being treated right. Victimization is crime. Being manipulated is crime. Being intimidated by people in high power is criminal activity, is crime. And so we have to take that fear from the community, that people know that they have a right to live and to be happy and to live stress-free lives because of what's happening in the community.
And the third one?
The third one, I think to get people to begin to think different. It's all a domino effect. We look at the preamble of the Constitution, and I go back there again. The values that the founding fathers determined would be values for good governance and values for good leaders is the same values that is necessary for the people. In order to create a new political culture, we need core values. And the core values are self-discipline, it's industry, loyalty, unity, abiding respect for Christian values and the rule of law. In addition to that, the preamble says that part of the commitment is that we are governed by spiritual values, that we govern ourselves, the people govern themselves by spiritual values, and they determine that their labor would not be exploited, their lives would not be frustrated, and we must, as a people, know that it is not only the government's responsibility to secure the freedom we want in the country. It is our responsibility. We must provide the guarantee, and we provide the guarantee by being the change, being part of the change we want to see in the country. And so I think in addition to leadership, the crime management, the fear of crime, the people must decide that they want something else for themselves and that it's their responsibility to make it happen.
You mentioned the Constitution several times. Most Bahamians have not read the Constitution and have no idea what it says. Why is it that most Bahamians do not know what the Constitution says?
I think it's a responsibility of leadership in any country, and not just only the government, but all aspects of societal leadership, to make sure that people know what their rights are. In addition to people going out and getting a copy of the Constitution, it's the responsibility of leadership is to put it in their faces. Tell them what is the spirit in which the founders intended we should live. Tell them what the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual are. It is important. Chapter 3 of the Constitution should be taught in the school. It should be taught in the prison. It should be taught in any institution of governance. It was the intent of the founding fathers to make certain that people know this. Because if you know your rights and your responsibility, you will be careful how you deal with people. And when I recommend that prisoners should learn the Chapter 3 of the Constitution, so that they know that they don't have a right to steal people's stuff. They don't have a right to take people's stuff or violate people or just kill people's children and throw them in the bush. They would understand that because they know what the Constitution says. So I believe it is necessary that we cause the nation to learn the Constitution, its preamble, which states the spirit of the Constitution, and Chapter 3 of the Constitution that tells you what your rights and responsibilities are as a citizen. So that is very important.
Unemployment, how would you tackle that?
Well, we talked about bringing full employment. By becoming an industrialized nation, we will tackle unemployment and we'll bring full employment to this country. It will be easy. As we talk about the natural resources, that is the key to bring a new Bahamas, a new full employment in the country.
Corruption in government, how do you eliminate it?
Well, when the BCP comes to governance, people are held to a standard. The first thing we've done with our candidates is they have to sign a memorandum of understanding. It will order not only them as a candidate, but how they live as an elected official. As an elected official, they will be judged on that. The party will continue to judge them on that. So if they do corruption, they will be fired based on that because they would have signed that memorandum. And so it's important. It's important that when we go to governance, we will bring forward ethics laws in the parliament for members of parliament, for cabinet ministers, and those ethics laws will determine that if you do any kind of improprieties, that you will be fired or you will be reprimanded. The second thing is our desire to actually write a constitution for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We now work on the Bahamas Independence Order. It is a statutory instrument of the British Parliament. We want to create a constitution for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That constitution we want that will be focused on constitutional democracy, which is a republic system of governance. With that, it builds in the institution of a republic, term limits, ethics laws that make certain that people know that if you are improper and you behave improper, you will have to leave. The system will bump you out. So we want to build in the institutions of governance the level of integrity and transparency that cause people to understand you have to operate in a certain way, corruption-free, or the system will move you. And if the system don't move you, we have determined, even as a government, that we will require that you leave. In this environment, it does not happen.
Why are we having such a rise in violent crimes and murders?
People are hopeless. People are hopeless. And when people are hopeless, they do anything. Nothing is worse than a person who have no hope. They will do anything. They have nothing to lose. And we must find a way to remove hopelessness from this community, not just only in New Providence, but in Freeport. We have to bring a level of hope back to the society, that people know that they have a stake and a vested interest in the country. Violent crimes will not happen when people know that there is hope and that their government is working for them and their society is equitable, has justice, and will make sure that they survive.
Now, that sounds like talk. How can you bring it about? How can you bring hope to the people to the point where they believe you?
Well, all I can do is tell you what I know. And what I know for the past 2 decades is that the founding fathers of this nation wanted to create a society in which every Bahamian have hope that their labor would not be exploited, their lives would not be frustrated, they would never be enslaved again. This is what the founders intended. We have failed. Successive governments have walked away from the preamble of the Constitution as criteria for national leadership. And because they have done that, piece by piece, bit by bit, the community is losing hope, has lost hope. We are actually at a very hopeless place. And so the Bahamas Constitution Party want to return to our original intent, which is to produce a society where everybody have a respect for the rule of law and the government is responsible to making sure that that happens. That's what leadership does. The people can provide a level of guarantee what they want in their country, but the government who leads out must make certain that it happens. The government must have a commitment to the rule of law. The government must make certain that the rule of law is respected in the nation. And the Bahamas Constitution Party will return there, where people, we will teach that Constitution, that preamble, so that people will know, without these core values, you have no hope. And so we will return hope to the country. And that's why the Bahamas Constitution Party is hope for Bahama land. And we will continue to say it. It is all we have. We only have a message of hope for Bahama land. Because if you've ever lost your way, you have to go back to where you originally were and start again. And there you will find what it is you need to create a society that's hopeful, that's prosperous, and that will give justice and equality to every single citizen. And that is what we want to bring.
Would you say that the majority of Bahamian people are frustrated with government?
Yes, they are. People are frustrated with government because government has failed. When you have a job description of which you must do, and you have not done it, even your employer says, you know what, you have to go, because you're not doing what I want. You're not getting done what I have paid you for, what I've hired you for to do the job. And when that happens, you are fired. The Bahamian people is looking and they're frustrated because the government is not doing what it is they want, what they have hired them for, what their job description, what their mandate is. And that's why they're frustrated. And so we must return the job description of government in the right place. The people who must do it must not go there for themselves. They must go there to serve. And when you go there to serve and know that the people are your employers, you will do the right thing.